7:20 a.m. on this Friday morning, January 30th, 2026. We are beginning with our so-called sunrise of this day, and of course with this orange coloration that tends to take place. We are to have partly cloudy, partly sunny skies today. Given the opportunity, I will be viewing in on the sun as I have a narrative or two in mind to share in regards to the sun, my past recordings, and a recording from another channel, of which I will speak on further in due time. But this is our morning sunrise taking place. It is brighter in the recording than what it is in reality. We are talking more akin to this right here. This is more like what I am actually visually seeing at this given moment in time. We'll continue on in short form as this continues on. With the so-called rising of the sun, and of course, as this day continues forth. We are getting much more coloration that is starting to appear, so I will, of course, record just that much more as more becomes available. Continuing on at 7:30 and real quick, alright, we still have quite a lot of orange coloration back here in the eastern horizon. But as I pan back and go over in this direction, we have an awful lot of dark cloud coverage to the skies back in here. And of course, this is the location of the so-called rising of the sun. So whether all this cloudy material back here will actually inhibit further viewing of the sunrise, well, is debatable at this given time. I will state that it is very bitterly cold out here right now. We are only to have a high of possibly 14 degrees Fahrenheit today. Very cold temperatures indeed. I'm not sure where we're at temperature-wise currently, but I imagine it's right around the 0-degree mark or thereabouts, as that was what was reported earlier this morning. And I don't believe that it has warmed up at all since then. Alright, once again, Skywise out. And we'll record a little bit further. Once again, if given the opportunities to do so. 7:55 a.m. We are now losing a lot of our orangeness to the sky. A lot of the stuff in the background that I was trying to point out earlier has moved off, apparently to the southerly direction. I already have cats out here waiting on me, so I will be venturing out right directly to tend to the critters. Because of the conditions, highly doubtful that I will be providing any content from the woods, but of course I'm fickle and that can change. And it appears like way back here in the background we've got us quite a plume of steam, if you will, coming from someplace, not sure where. Not even sure if this is picking that up or not. But anyways, the cats have taken notice of me and wandering out of the woods, so I'm going to once again get ready to head on out, tend to business. And at some given point, once again, we'll continue on with this day with whatever is provided. And once again, I've got an agenda that I want to follow through with, if possible, with a nice viewing of the sun. Alright, well, we'll be back. 8:10 a.m. Yeah, we're getting cloud structures back here. A little bit of coloration. Ooh, is it cold out here. We even have some pink coloration back in here. Not a real vibrant pink. Kind of a mixture between purple and pink. Yeah, I'm still in the process of tending to the critters out here. And over in this direction, we are getting the rising of that greater light. So we'll be viewing in on that. Keeping fingers crossed, of course. But once again, you know, we got a lot of this cloudiness back here. And before I started this recording, as far as this clip in particular, yeah, a small engine aircraft was flying about. Apparently, decent day for such fun. Surprisingly, no trails or streamers are being seen. We've got some strange kind of colorations off in this direction as well. Of course, I have to dim down the lighting in order to see anything, and which is not coming out all that great. But again, we're getting quite a little bit of coloration kicking off back here. Pinks, purples. Even though, really, let's see if I can bring this on just a little bit better. Not real strong once again. Of course, through the trees, we got there's a nice example right there. Some of the pinkness. But I'm going to get busy once again out here in the woods, get this job done, and we'll continue on once again. Okay, it is 8:15 a.m. I am getting ready to head on in as the feeding has taken place. It's kind of nifty looking, so I thought I'd go ahead and record this real quick before I go in. We got now some clouds over here, which again, taking on a little bit of pink coloration once I dim down the lighting, which I believe gives it a more realistic viewing of the colorations to these clouds. And yeah, we've got just that much more that's kind of mucking up the skies. But we shall see how this ends up playing out as we continue on with this day. Go back here, man, my fingers are freezing up really quick. Once again, I just thought this was kind of neat looking. Now we have the presence of the greater light that's coming into viewing. and I'm coming back over, oh, north, slightly northwest, dropping down the lighting here. We can see these clouds, or so-called clouds. Okay, so as this continues its ascension, we'll continue on. I gotta go in and get warm because I'm going to be traveling through this cold downtown, pick up a few things, and so we might record a little bit of that. Alrighty, 9:10 a.m. and here we go. This is the first flight that I've seen of the day. Even though we have had a small engine aircraft that has been buzzing around for the last 2 days, of which I have not been able to record. But once again, this is the first visual sighting of a flyover on this Friday, January 30th, 2026. We'll go ahead and get to this topic of discussion here shortly. Alright, 9:11 a.m. We're going to go ahead and give this a try as I attempt to zoom in on this greater light without even really being able to see what I'm doing. Follow. Alright, so anyways, I did bring my polarized sunglasses with me because, well, once again, I want to bring up the factor of this, what I called an anomaly throughout many of my recordings or past recordings, especially throughout this last summer. Now, I'm thinking that I am picking it up, but yeah, we are. And I want to discuss this just that much more, but I don't want to end up freezing myself in the process. So I'm going to continue doing what I need to get done, and we will continue on once again. 9:25 a.m. and walking out of the store, and what do we have? Another flyover that previously taken place, and of course major blurred out. So we have that has just flown on by, our second sighting of this day, and of course there's quite an audible sound of the flyover. 9:35 a.m. I've just returned, and here's the third one of today, showing just those contrails. But as I've stated before, that doesn't mean that there is nothing devious kicking off, if you will. Alrighty, we are back. It is approximately 9:50 a.m. I don't know if I'm able to capture this or not, but we're having quite a nifty effect as far as the light hitting the tops of these trees. I don't think it's going to pick up the same way as what I am seeing it. But the branches of these trees are highly crystallized from freezing temperatures. It is like they are all frosted, okay? And again, I'm not sure if I'm able to pick any of this up. Even the tops of this tree has frosting to it, if you will. Not like that of icing on a cake, but cold temperature frosting, right? So anyways, The reason why I wanted to focus in on this greater light today and speak a little bit more upon it is because of the factor that over a few hours last night I decided, okay, I need to catch up on some past content from other channels, right? And I found myself onto the channel entitled Misty World. Okay, Misty World, in which Misty is actually the I is replaced with a number 1. Okay, so Misty World. And as far as I'm concerned, we had some great interactions through comments and replies that took place not only last night but this morning, as far as this morning is concerned in my neck of the woods. Oh, that's what I was seeing. A morning dove back here. Okay. So anyways, it was due to her content that I decided, okay, let's come out with this today, because I knew beforehand that we were supposed to have somewhat sunny skies, but it is highly filtered. Okay, a lot of filtration around this greater light, and I'm halfway expecting some possible colorations to come about today, just because of the conditions. But anyways, continuing on with Misty World and her content. Approximately, it was either 12 or 13 years ago, and I want to say 13, she had posted a couple of recordings, which was entitled Reflection of the Sun, and which it was 2 videos, 2 parts. And the second part, and man, I really would have liked to have seen this at least a couple of years ago, because I would not have spent so much time, effort, energy, and space on my channel and on this platform recording this so-called anomaly nearby the sun, which also turned out to be an anomaly, so-called anomaly, near the moon. But through trial and error, I came to realize that even a flashlight would create this anomaly. Now, once again, she did an awesome job with one of these recordings that actually proves that this, in fact, is a reflection of the sun up in the sky. And which, if you watch that video, which I will provide a couple of links in the description below, one to that video, and I will provide another link to her homepage. Once again, had I seen this video of hers a couple of years ago, I would not have wasted so much recording this, what I claimed, and still claim as being an anomaly. But it is more or less an anomaly to the camera, and which, based on this anomaly's positioning, actually can give you a telltale sign of the mirrors within your camera. Okay? And I won't go into further detail on that. But the one question I have is, okay, as far as picking up this anomaly, or basically camera artifact, if you will, and it does not matter, as I've shown, whether you zoom in or pan back, that anomaly still shows up. And based on lenses being used, you can bring it out that much more. And I've shown this many a times. But the question I now have is, okay, upon what atmospheric level does this reflection actually occur. And when we're speaking of atmospheric levels, let's also ponder the factor of, okay, we have multiple atmospheric levels, but we only have one of these modifications, if you will, that is labeled as stratospheric, which the stratosphere is one of our atmospheric layers, but stratospheric aerosol injections. So basically that is defining that type of operation should only take place in the stratosphere, right? But what about the other levels of the atmosphere? How do we label those among the operations? Do we just stick with cloud seeding or geoengineering? Or is there more precise definitions that need to be looked at? All right? I'll just try to keep my words layman. And yeah, see, I'm having to really lean over my balcony right now in order to get a viewing of this. But once again, you know, because of Misty World's content, I actually brought this about. And I've got some other things that I'd like to bring to the table, such as, you know, the factor of when you do a Google engine search of Agenda 2030 and the information that comes up, and when you compare that, especially to the videos that I have compiled, and well, he's losing his little bit of a trail back here, wherever he's at, which you might be able to hear the roar there. But boy, I tell you what, without all the cloud structuring or the overcast skies, you can really hear these flyovers now. But anyways, Agenda 2030, and when you compare that to what I have compiled as far as in my Dark Nights playlist of the Freemason Society, it does not really matter who's saying what about the future and the depopulation and all that. Forces on both sides are basically doing the same thing. And when you look at what is happening with Donald Trump and this push towards higher AI and cryptocurrency and the peace deals and all that, and then what I show in my community posting from last night, which I forgot to date, I think, but anyways, the knowledge that I have a great deal of connected knowledges surrounding Donald Trump and that society. And I actually created quite a lengthy recording yesterday with my Canon camera, but things just weren't working out. Today, well, it's a new day and a little bit brighter on the horizon, if you will. And I can hear that aircraft that's been buzzing around, that small engine aircraft. I'm going to catch it eventually. I mean, and you know, based on what I see as far as on the roads, man, I tell you what, they must be putting in a lot of man hours and money and salt and heating units and all kinds of stuff on the runways in order for flights to occur, whether it's small airports or your larger major airports that you know, we're having these issues with extreme cold and snow, but yet it does not seem to be stopping flights, right? And yeah, bird just flew up here. I'm not sure what that is, but has a kind of sticks out. But anyways, you know, it is nice to see this greater light. All it does is brightens up the mood, brightens up the sky a little bit, brightens up the snow, but is not really going to increase the temperatures much today. And once again, you might be able to see some of this frosting on the branches, which this is very unfortunate, once again, because I have to bring up the factor of how these trees have budded out, and now having to, you know, deal with these extreme periods of cold. So once again, ponder my thoughts, if you will, pertaining to this light, and said anomaly as far as the atmospheric layerings, and you know, and all that. Click on those links, if you would, or at least, you know, the video link, so you can see a comparison if you are familiar with my recordings of this anomaly. I'm still going to go ahead and call it that. That has been appearing next to this, and many of my recordings that I well end up focusing in on. And once again, had I seen her video out, well, it would have saved me a lot of issues. But once again, you know, I tip my hat to that channel because of the just wonderful interaction that came about, and there she's got some really good videos. And something else that I would ask you to do, if you do go to her homepage, go to her video list and scroll down and check out the views, okay? Because, well, back when that reflection of the sun video came out, many years back, she had a lot of views per video. But and I'm just kind of guesstimating that something happened to where fewer videos were being posted, and over time that has severely affected the view counts to any more recent videos, regardless of the amount of subscribers. Okay, so once again, we got this platform that, you know, is very deceptive when it comes down to the factor of subscriber count, likes, and so on and so forth. You know, it's getting to a point to where you cannot really trust anything that revolves around today's technologies. All right, I am starting to really freeze up. I need to get in, get warm, as I will be back out here in these very frigid, cold temperatures today to provide that much more for the animals. And whether or not I will record anything further, that is highly debatable. Unless, of course, once again, we should happen to get some type of colorations in connection with this greater light. So on that note, I apologize for the length of this overall video. There's more that I would have liked to have included, but we're going to go ahead and leave it at that. Thank you ever so kindly for watching. Take care. Much love. Have a great one. And this is Skywise out. Oh, 10:05 a.m. Yeah, we can include this, I guess, as we got some hardcore squirrel action kicking off out here. Foxy and Blackjack. Hi, Foxy. Hiya, Foxy. Well, can you hear that aircraft that just flew over? Yeah. Oh, there's our little bit of nature, if you will, this morning. Yep. Not warm, but the sun has brought out some activity. And whether they will head over to the feeding tree, I don't know. Just a little bit of bonus material to add on, I guess, to make the recording or the video just that much longer. And yeah, down into the feeding tree they are going, and going down to ground level. Too bad I didn't put more out there earlier, but they now know that I am providing some stuff, or at least I now have the knowledge that they know. And that's good, because I'll be back out there here shortly. They're probably trying to indicate that I need to get out there soon. And I'm just basing this on seeing their little visit to the feeding tree. Alright, once again, Skywise out.